Hi everyone, welcome to the SIR Medical Student Council Annual Business Meeting. My name is Deepak Iyer, the incoming chair for the Medical Student Council, or MSC for short. Today, I'd like for us to discuss this past year accomplishments of the MSC and our future directions. We hope this meeting will serve as an introductory session to all things MSC, while showcasing our work and also helping get any interested students involved. This will be particularly helpful for those applying to the MSC, and there will be information on the upcoming application process as well in this webinar. Thank you for joining. Let's begin. So shown here is this afternoon's agenda. We will briefly cover the organizational structure of the MSC. In a minute, we'll start with introductions, then we'll go over accomplishments for the MSC as a whole. We will then cover the initiatives and achievements of each committee. This is particularly important for those interested in applying to a certain committee. Lastly, we will discuss the application process, including the timeline, and offer some of our advice. The official mission statement of the MSC is shown here, which is important to go over, as ultimately all of our projects and initiatives are created to fulfill this mission statement to the best of our ability. Our goal is to promote the practice of interventional radiology to students passionate about the future of IR. It is our mission, with your help, to further propel Iyer to the forefront of clinical medicine and patient care by providing the resources and community that will help cultivate the most passionate and brightest minds to our specialty, while aiding them in their training. To give a brief history of the MSC, the idea for the Resident Fellow and Student section of SIR, which is now the parent organization of the MSC, first started at the SIR annual meeting in 2009. That year, Dr. Vatican Cherry from Kaiser Permanente, LA, met with a number of passionate residents who were interested in expanding their clinical aspects of IR, and they then formed the RFS. The MSC grew out of the RFS in 2012, at first focusing on promoting our VIR interest groups and symposia across the nation. Throughout the last few years, the MSC has blossomed immensely and is now comprised of 9 different committees with nearly 100 active members in total, as well as the additional group of students involved with the medical student reserves. We are immensely proud of the growth of IR, and more so the MSC. We know that with your help and continued student involvement, we will continue to pursue our mission. In terms of the structure for the MSC, it is led by the MSC chair with the help of our resident and faculty advisors. The MSC chair is a part of the governing council along with the 9 different committee chairs. Each MSC member's term extends from the current annual meeting to the next, with applications for these positions opening around this time of the year in proximity to the annual meeting. Each of the 9 MSC committees is composed of approximately 10 students led by a committee chair. Their membership responsibilities include a monthly meeting where they discuss their committee projects and updates. The chairs of all the committees then meet separately once a month to share one another's projects and foster collaboration. Recently, we have introduced the Medical Student Reserves, which takes applications on a rolling basis. As medical students, we understand that we all have limited time and our schedules can fluctuate depending on our current blocks and rotations. The reserves, led by the reserves chairs, circumvents this issue by allowing students to help on short-term projects with their limited time and helps introduce them to the MSC workflow in hopes of transitioning to being a recognized MSC Executive Committee member. Now for introductions of the MSC committee chairs. Once again, I'm Deepak Iyer, an MS3 from George Washington University in DC, and I'm honored to serve as your incoming chair of the MSC. I first got involved with the MSC during my first year of medical school as a reserves member and was most recently the chair of the Biodesign and Innovation Committee. Being a part of the MSC has been an incredible honor and a privilege to be a part of this incredible community with amazing medical students with an infectious passion and hope that you all may experience this incredible community and collaboration with your time in the MSC and in your future careers. I owe a great deal of gratitude to the outgoing MSC chair, Varun Danda. He's been an incredible mentor of mine and has been instrumental in this transition process as I begin this new role. It is my hope to follow in the large footsteps he is now leaving me and emulate his outstanding leadership and mentorship that has made the MSC incredibly successful over the past year. Shown here are the current advisors of the MSC. In the top row are our faculty advisors, Drs. Vatican Cherry and Vishal Kumar, who operate within the Student and Resident Committee of SIR for faculty members. Additionally, their resident counterparts, Dr. Yi Yang and Navjeet Dilet, who are serving as the outgoing and incoming chairs of the RFS respectively. Shown here are the members of the past year's MSC Governing Council. Tonight we'll have the two incoming 2022 to 2023 chairs presenting on behalf of their committees. Here we have the Governing Council for the MSC 2022 to 2023 year. We'll have each of them talk briefly about their committee, as well as share their updates and future goals for the committee.
Hi everybody, my name is Ryan Morrison. I'm a third year at Rowan SOM in South New Jersey, and I'm the incoming chair for the Biodesign and Innovation Committee. I'd like to just thank Deepak Iyer, who's the outgoing Biodesign and Innovation chair. So the mission statement for the Biodesign and Innovation Committee is to expose medical students to IR and to foster their excitement for innovation within the field. We do this by educating students in the basics of biodesign. We challenge them by providing opportunities to think about solving clinical problems, and we also do this by collaborating with attendings and provide things like mentorship and collaboration opportunities. So the flagship project for the Biodesign and Innovation Committee is the Biodesign competition held yearly at SIR. This year the theme is palliative care and IR, and on the right hand side you can see the timeline for the competition. We've got 12 teams registered, with 3 undergrads actually added to these teams, which is a new project that we started this year. And the top 2 teams of these 12 teams will present at SIR on June 11th. One team will be selected as the winner of the competition. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to make the Biodesign competition happen. The Resource Promotion Subcommittee have created a syllabus, flyers, instructional webinars, and have even matched mentors to the 12 teams to give them guidance during the process. We've also secured over 30 individual prizes for those who have entered the Biodesign competition. The Recruitment Subcommittee have successfully recruited these 12 teams and have started 2 new initiatives, which is to add undergrads to the 12 teams and also to create an innovations community where these teams are able to interact over Slack and talk about their projects and help they may need. We have several other projects going on concurrently with the Biodesign main project. These include the Clinical Needs in IR competition, which is a competition where trainees can articulate a clinical need that they've seen on their rotations and present a 2-page submission with about a 3 to 5 minute presentation on this clinical need. The whole purpose is to be a little offset from the main Biodesign competition in terms of schedule and a little bit lower commitment. We also started a new project called Tools of Biodesign, which is web pages showcasing various tools that may aid in the process of biodesign. So this includes things like Arduino, 3D printing, patents, computer-aided design, and fortunately we've had plenty of people on this project and we have 12 new articles written. We also have the Biodesign webinar series, which has been a long-standing series where we have different radiologists, innovators, experts in the field come and talk to interested medical students. So we have 2 new ways of getting involved in the future, which is to find some more of these radiologists, innovators, and experts, and also to potentially integrate the tools of biodesign into the Biodesign webinar series. We also have the mini biodesign competition, which is a project where we created a rubric and syllabus so that you could translate the main biodesign competition to local IR symposia and host a smaller version of the competition. The first run of this rubric and syllabus was completed at NJIRS 2021, and it's ready for other symposia. The Short Stories in IR project are concise, easy to read sketches of some inventions in the field. So this can include things like tips, IVC filters, Foleys, guide wires, etc. And we've had over 13 short stories completed. And for our last two projects, we have the Innovations in IR project. So this project is a newsletter where we showcase both innovation of IR physicians along with the latest developments in technology and tools. So for example, we've created posts on ultrasound, PAE, catheters, and UFE so far. And last but not least, we have the Sound of IR collaboration, which is a future project where we hope to showcase some of the work that we've been doing on the Biodesign Committee on a podcast. So that's a brief overview of all of the projects that we have going on within the Biodesign and Innovation Committee. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out at sir.msc.biodesign@gmail.com, and you can CC me, morris47@rowan.edu. Please also check out the Biodesign Center on the SIR webpage, and thank you for listening.
All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Just a quick introduction. So my name is Robert Weinstein. I'm currently a third-year medical student, and I am the incoming chair of the Education Committee. So I would just like to start this presentation by giving a quick thank you to my predecessor, Lyndon Lee, who has done an excellent job with this transition and helping me move forward into this role. And from here, I'm happy to introduce you to the current work that we're doing in the Education Committee. So just to briefly start, I'm going to read the mission statement for the Education Committee. So our mission of the SIR-MSC Education Committee is to create and publish educational materials about interventional radiology that are accurate, useful, and accessible to our audiences, which include both medical trainees, prospective patients, and the general public. I believe that this is an incredibly valuable position to be in, especially as a medical student, because we're creating these education resources for such a wide variety of people in the medical field, from medical students to residents, and the people you get to work with and learn from and provide these educational materials to is really valuable. And it just really provides you an incredible depth in the field and allows you to really make an impact on a lot of people's education and growth as they kind of enter and learn more about the specialty. Note on where to find us. So here we have a link to the SIR-MSC published education resources. Here you could just go and look at some of the past materials that we've published and just take a look about what the Education Committee in general is about and some of what the content we're producing is. There's also a link to a YouTube channel that has a lot of really valuable resources on it. And if you just take a minute to look at it and get acquainted with some of the educational materials that we put in the past, that could probably give you a really good idea of the kind of work that we're doing in the Education Committee. So I'm just going to start this presentation by going through the current projects that I'm going to be talking about through this presentation. So the four major projects that we're currently working on is the IR curriculum, social media projects, Anki project, and the case-based IR resources. Just to note also that these aren't, inclusive of anything you could do, and there's lots of other projects, as well as anything more that you want to bring in and projects that you're passionate about creating is always welcome. So what is the Introductory IR Curriculum Initiative? So the overall purpose of this is to create high-yield introductory interventional radiology curriculum materials through the publication of systems-based modules. So as you can kind of see on the bottom, this is kind of designed to be very similar to boards and beyond. You can see the similar style of formatting below. And this basically just contains video lectures, a compendium, accompanying questions, and an accompanying Anki deck. And it basically just walks students through a number of typical modules like cardiovascular, GI, pulmonary, neuro, a lot of the common presentations that you see. And it also really gets into the pathophysiology and basic science behind these, which is just really valuable for getting a student an introduction to both the IR side of things, but also, just general medical knowledge and helping create kind of the full physician within IR. So here you could see a sample of one of the modules that has already, been fairly, reviewed by residents and attendings and is fairly completed and has really served as a valuable resources for a lot of the other modules that we're currently creating. And so this is the vascular model. So as you can see, not only does this kind of go over the IR procedures and the IR point of things, it also really gets into the pathophysiology, patient presentation, anatomical factors, epidemiology, and much more. So this is really valuable resources for students in their preclinical curriculums where you're learning about all these diseases, but figuring out how exactly it relates to IR and how this is going to relate to what you're seeing in your future practice. So this is just to kind of show you where we're at in our introductory IR modules. So this is where we were at the start of last year. A lot of modules were currently in progress, some getting started, and I will show you where we are currently. So for a lot of the modules now, they're currently undergoing resident and attending review. So a lot of that will be collaborating with attendings and residents, trying to get their review and making notes on their feedback, revising the slides, and then turning them back over, and eventually, hopefully, getting them to the point where we could publish them on the website and utilize them as available resources for all students. So this has made really good progress in the last year, and this is kind of really nice because this is getting to the final push. So as a student and as someone on the education committee that is working on this, you could really kind of push this to the end and hopefully get out this really, really valuable tool for a lot of students. So next, I'm sure as a lot of you have seen from our social media projects, SIR on Instagram, Twitter, the social media projects. So the purpose of these is to utilize social media to spread awareness and education of IR through infographics, tutorials, and starter packs. So these projects are led by reserves with our assistants and are posted on the SIR-RFS social media accounts. And for those of you that don't know what infographics and tutorials is specifically referring to, I will show you those on the next slides. And going next into the tutorials, also, this is also a really unique platform, obviously utilizing Twitter for the tutorials, where for this specific presentation, it has to do with splenic artery embolization. As you can see, you get a lot of audience participation with the polls and pictures and everything else that you could decide to show and kind of give feedback to reserves on as someone that is managing these projects. And it provides just a lot of unique ability to get creative with the kind of information you're presenting and choosing these kinds of materials. So thirdly, I'll talk about the Anki project. So the goal of this project is to create a universal standardized Anki deck for high yield IR materials such as the IR playbook. This is led by a couple members of the education committee with the assistance of MSC reserves and always has the possibility for collaboration with other committees. So this project is becoming more important just as we know Anki is becoming a more popular tool with students. So we wanted to expand this type of project just so that those interested in IR can utilize a really standardized resource for learning at all stages. So taking it from, obviously a lot of the standardized Anki decks that people use for school and creating the same thing for IR in particular that's reviewed by residents and attendings so students can be sure that they're getting, high quality reviewed information that they can trust. So this is an example of a deck. This is from the IR playbook. Just to kind of update on some of our progress, we have 46 of 47 chapters of the IR playbook currently completed and almost half reviewed by the Anki team heads. That being said, there's many other opportunities for other educational decks, including the Iyer curriculum, infographics, and any other additional ideas that you may come up with as a member of this committee. And there's always a lot of room in terms of when you're reviewing these projects, or from there on collaborating with the attendings and residents to get their notes on things. A lot of updating and more formatting that always needs to be done through these kinds of projects. Lastly, what I'll be talking about is the case-based IR resource. So the purpose of this is to create case-based resources for medical students to learn about the common presentations of those seen in IR. So this will be led once again by a couple members of the education committee with the assistance of MSC Reserves, and contains the future possibility of the development of a textbook of IR cases as a sub-internship or rotation resource. And as you can see, this is just a brief screenshot of one of the current case-based IR resources that's been completed and reviewed. And this is only really showing the chief complaint, but what is a really interesting part is that this gets really deep into these cases. It goes through the chief complaint, diagnosis, history and physical, pathophysiology, workup, and management. So for students going into the IR sub-internships and rotations, this is a really valuable resource for learning about, okay, this is what a patient might present with, and it kind of walks you through and guides you through a lot of what you would be doing in the sub-internship and kind of what the pertinent information would be for these types of cases. So this is really just starting out, and this project has a lot of growth opportunity. There's only really a few cases currently completed. So as a member of the education committee, your idea would be brainstorming more common cases to see, and working on putting a lot of these together and reviewing them. This is, definitely a project with a lot of growth to have within the next year, which I think is very exciting. Obviously, within the education committee, we work with a lot of, other projects and other committees on things that they're working on. So there's, future project collaborations with the interest group committee, with PR and communications, research, reserves. And if you have any new ideas for new projects or anything else that you're passionate about, we're always welcome and receptive to hear any new ideas that anyone could bring forward, and always looking for people that are passionate about particular new ideas that they're looking forward to be getting started on. So if you're interested in joining the education committee, obviously, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out at our email, which is sirmsc.edu@gmail.com. We're looking for students passionate about education, obviously. So if you have any, teaching experience, tutoring, or just are passionate in general about, educating your fellow students and being able to learn and teach people about IR principles, or if you've seen any of the projects and you think that this is really interesting, we're always looking for students that are passionate about, getting started on these projects. And I'm looking forward to, hearing from any of you that, have any interest or questions, or just want to learn more about the committee in any way. So thank you all for listening, and I hope to hear from many of you soon.
Hey everyone, my name is Wasim and I'll be the new VIRIG committee chair. So the VIRIG committee promotes student interest and involvement in the field of interventional radiology by supporting the activities of local as well as international VIRIGs. So the map here does not quite represent how many we have right now. It's a lot more than that. We also have some international involvement. Since the inception of the SIR-MSC, we started off with 25 interest groups, and now we have roughly around 211. We hope to see a much quicker rise next year. And on the right, you can see that we have our list of VIRIGs registered on the website at the SIR-RFS website under the medical student interest groups, and they're separated by region. So here at the VIRIG committee, we have plenty of projects, and what we have here is a list of some of the major ones that we have done and what we're planning to do. So first off, it's the interest group liaison project, and all the members will be participating in this. What essentially this is about is that each member of the committee will be a liaison for the VIRs in their region. And this is either selected by random or by preference, all dependent on the type and group of people we get for next year. We're also planning to host regional VIR meetings. Now, this was done in the past for some of the regions, and now we're hoping to see it come to light with all of the regions that we have. So this is just to host regular online meetings, whether that could be quarterly, to discuss successful events, some ideas, some resources, and just to foster some collaboration among the VIREGs. Second is the event guide, and what this project is about developing a resource for interest groups to increase IR interest at their institutions, especially for institutions that don't have much IR exposure. And what we hope to have completed and just update is just to compile a guide about how to host unique events. So next is one of our larger projects, the symposium project, and there's two sides to this project. One side is supporting medical students looking to organize an IR symposium, and that's through using some of our contacts to reach out to speakers or other VIREGs to collaborate on. And also there's a list of symposia on the SIR-RFS website that is updated as frequently as possible. And lastly, in the other side of the symposium project is the annual medical student symposium. And last year we hosted the multidisciplinary symposium in December 2021, where each subspecialty of IR was represented, or at least majority of the subspecialties in IR. And then with the symposiums, is sometimes they can be about specific topics in IR. It doesn't have to be very general. Next, what we have is the undergraduate outreach project, and the goal of this project is to target undergraduate organizations to expose them to IR, as well as to push current VIREGs with an undergraduate program to host webinars, create virtual chatting opportunities, and some resources for undergraduate students. And more recently, we have two of our current members who've created a VIR shadowing platform that we're hoping to give them some more power and to get it off the ground and get it up and running. Lastly, our third project on this list is the IR outreach program and DO outreach. So the goal of this project is to support existing VIREGs and reach out to VIREGs that may not have enough IR exposure, or schools that may not even have an IR interest group, and just to start them up. And the other side of this project is DO outreach. And last year we've had a DO resident panel that was quite successful with a lot of interest. We're hoping to continue that for next year. Now, we do have room for individual committee members to create their own projects. We always encourage members to pursue what they are passionate about. If there's anything on this list that you may not be interested in, you're a member of the VIR committee, we're more than happy to support you and give you some information on how to start one and just get it off the ground. That can be continued as a major project for future SIR MSC VIR committee members. So some of the goals of these current projects that we have for, number one, the liaison project, we're hoping to update the contact information, and we're going to need some of our members to reach out to committees, or if they know their own school or any of their friends' schools, what their contact information was, because in our list we have some outdated information. And second, we're hoping to host regional VIR meetings for all the regions. So currently we have one or two regions that have been hosting quarterly meetings. We're hoping to push that to be across the country. And second, we have the symposium project where we're hoping to continue our annual SIR virtual symposium whether that be a multidisciplinary symposium or otherwise. And we're hoping to create some events for surgically minded medical students. Third is our diversity and inclusion outreach, our IR outreach program project. We're hoping to support existing VIRIGs and just continuing what we're doing with that. And we're hoping to get some more DO resident panels going and invite DO attendings for these panels. Lastly, the undergraduate outreach. We're connecting, with undergraduate students to engage them and educate them about IR through VIRIGs. So, it starts from the medical students at a current institution, and then they can create some events and webinars for the pre-med students at their institution. And we're hoping to get the VIR virtual shadowing project, giving them some help with that.
Hi everyone, so my name is Anna Gong and I'm the incoming chair of the Patient and Family Centered Committee, or the PFCC. I'm really excited to hear that you're interested in joining us, so please tune in for some information on what we've done so far and what we're looking forward to doing this upcoming year. Interventional radiology is a field that isn't only growing in an interventional scope, but is also growing into an increasingly patient-centered field. Here at PFCC, we have the unique opportunity to be a part of this expansion. So PFCC really seeks to empower patients and their families by providing educational materials related to the patient experience across a variety of common IR procedures. And in addition to providing resources to patients and their support systems, we also aim to provide medical students with tools and skills that will help them succeed as IR becomes an increasingly patient-centered medical specialty. Our central projects focus on explaining common IR procedures. All of these projects have a great foundation established over the last 2 years. So we have our patient narratives, our physician video interviews, our what to expect presentations, and our brochures, which is really the culmination of all 3 of these projects. So just briefly, the patient narratives involve speaking with patients who have undergone common IR procedures, for example, uterine fibroid embolization, TIPS, paracenteses, and in these interviews we ask questions about their experience, their point of view on IR, and what would have made their experience better, etc. Another project that we're really proud of is our physician video interviews. So this is one of our keystone projects where we videotape physicians answering common questions regarding common IR procedures. And we'll go and explain a little bit of what we've done so far in the coming slides. And then we also have our what to expect presentations. So these are short PowerPoint presentations that are written at an 8th grade reading level that go over different procedures. And this is really another aspect of creating a educational tool that patients and their families can access to better understand what happens in IR procedures and what they can expect. Finally, we have our brochures, which are really a synthesis of all of that information that we've gathered in the previously described projects. We have preliminary brochures created for a number of procedures already and are looking to pilot these during IR sub-Is and electives across the country moving forward. We also look forward to really adapting those brochures after patient and physician feedback, and also working with the Diversity and Inclusion Committee to translate these brochures into Spanish to increase accessibility. So on this slide, we're really focusing in on our patient narratives. And you can see on the left side all of the work that we already have done, and then in the middle, work that we're still in progress on completing, and then also all of the work that we haven't yet started on the right side. So if any of these topics in the in progress section or on the not started yet section interest you, we're really excited to include you on our team so we can all work together and bring these projects to fruition. On this slide, you can go ahead and click on the link to view some of our finished physician interviews. Take a look at what we've done so far. If you're passionate about patient education, video editing, and are interested in networking with physicians, this is a really great potential project to get involved in. On this slide, you can see the progress that we've made for our what to expect presentations. So on the left, you can see all of the work that we've already done, and on the right, you can see all of the work that we haven't yet started. If these procedures excite you or interest you, we're really looking forward to including you on our team. And we're also looking forward to expanding our list of common IR procedures. On this slide, you can see some of the work that we've done for our brochure. So once again, our brochures are really a synthesis of all of the previous 3 projects. And on the left, again, you can see that we have 2 brochures that we have completed so far, and that's for the uterine fibroid embolizations and also the percutaneous nephrostomies. And in the middle, you can see all of the brochures that we're already in progress with. So in progress meaning that we still have some design details to finish before we can roll them out as preliminary brochures to be used on sub-Is and rotations. And on our right side, you can see some of the topics that we haven't yet started. So this is really where we need everyone else to come in and help us develop these brochures and really create the products that we need to move forward. We also thought it would be really important to showcase a brochure so you have a better idea of what we've created. Here you can see screenshots of our uterine artery embolization brochure. There's a lot of peri-procedure information and also 2 QR codes that link to our physician video interviews and also our patient interview transcripts. The next step for these finished brochures is to trial them in real-life scenarios, gather feedback on what works and what doesn't, and third, of course, improving on these brochures until we have a finished product that facilitates patient understanding and helps with patient decision-making. We're excited to keep these mainstay projects going and look forward to growing our project list. While we welcome everyone who has an interest in patient-centered care, we're particularly interested in recruiting anyone who has video editing skills. A big goal for this next year, in addition to making progress on our key projects, is to increase our collaboration with other MSC and RFS committees. So if that's something you're interested in as well, we're really excited to hear from you. Overall, PFCC strives to create resources for patients, families, and trainees. We have a wonderful opportunity to be a part of the transformation of IR into an increasingly patient-centered field. If you like what you've heard or have other exciting new ideas you'd like to pursue, we'd love to have you on our team. Please email us at this email right here, and if you have any questions at all, and we really look forward to seeing you next year.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PR and Communications Committee segment. My name is Subhash Gudi, and I'm a third-year medical student from George Washington University, and I'll be the incoming chair for this committee. And I'll be filling in the shoes of Emily Barnard, who is graduating from Mercer University. She did an incredible job as chair last year, and she'll continue to stick around and help us as we approach the coming year. And now just thinking about big picture, what is the mission of our committee? It's to provide useful, educational, and exciting content that informs and attracts medical students and undergraduates to the field of IR. And when you think about it, SIR is formed of all these different students and residents and attendings who are spread out throughout the country, right? And really the major way that everybody stays in touch is actually through social media. And IR especially has a massive social media presence, especially on Twitter, for example, when you compare it to almost any other specialty. So our committee, it really does have a huge role because it's sort of managing all of those pages and what gets posted. Anytime there's a virtual event like a webinar, we have a hand in promoting those events. We sort of just keep the whole community up to speed on what's going on in the field. Is there a new groundbreaking procedure? Is there a new landmark trial? What are the new devices on the market? And also we have a big role in sort of promoting nice, high yield, quick summary educational tools like little infographics that, as you're scrolling through Twitter and walking from one floor to the next in the hospital, that's enough time to read up on, some important IR procedure. And that's, a really efficient use of your time. So long story short, we create some content, and additionally, we assist all other committees in posting and promoting their content. And we're very crucial to the operations of SIR as a whole. All right, and now I'll just go over some of the key accomplishments over the past year. So we actually started the Day in the Life of an IR YouTube series. You may have heard of it. You may have seen some episodes. Currently, we're about 11 episodes into the series and counting. And it's so cool. I mean, this idea just started from one of our committee members during a regular committee meeting. And we all said, hey, this is a great idea. Let's organize. Let's get it going. sort of put down instructions on a Google Sheet, promoted it to the rest of the IR world, and people keep sending in amazing content, and it's going strong a year later. We also have content researchers who are just posting content that's coming in from other committees. For example, starter kits and infographics that are coming in from Education Committee, different webinars that are hosted by other committees. Additionally, we do physician spotlights. The most recent one was the Women in IR Spotlight that's going on all of our social media. Furthermore, we've been doing these tweet chats, which are essentially small little case studies that we run through Twitter and are designed to sort of foster audience engagement. So we'll post like a little portion of the case, ask a question, wait for responses to come in, and we have experts on those topics who are running the Twitter and sort of replying and fostering that discussion. Furthermore, we've been doing awareness months. So, different months are dedicated to different medical conditions. For example, May is stroke awareness. We have fibroid awareness in July, PAD awareness in September, etc. So during those months, we just we work with other committees to post really a wide variety of educational content surrounding those topics. In the past, we revamped the main IR Wikipedia page, and finally we introduced something called Bitly, which is essentially a website directory where it produces its own unique hyperlink. So whenever you're promoting a video or a webinar or whatnot, you run it through Bitly to generate a hyperlink, and the benefit is that it tracks all the audience engagement data for every link that you post. So it's important for us as PR and Communications Committee because we want to see how are people accessing these different things that we're promoting. Is it mostly through Twitter? Is it mostly through YouTube? What time of the day? How can we maximize audience engagement? And it also makes for really great data if you're looking to, for example, publish it as an abstract, and we've done plenty of those. So just looking at some more accomplishments over the past couple of years, of course, social media growth is a major metric that we consider every year, and we have established a very strong presence on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all three of those platforms. And if you look at the data, you'll see that we've managed to have an increased amount of content going out on all platforms. And in addition, we've had steady growth in followers and audience engagement generally across all platforms. And, it's really impressive that we continue to still have that growth, and we still haven't plateaued yet. If you look at the Instagram, currently we're about at 2,269 followers. On Facebook in 2020, we had 2.3 thousand. The next year was 3.5 thousand. And currently, we're only a little bit into 2022, but we're right now at 4.1 thousand on Facebook. And then looking at Twitter stats, we have that chart at the bottom of the slide. But just sort of zooming in on total followers, 2019 we were at 5.4 thousand Twitter followers. The next year was 7.3 thousand. And right now we're at 9.3 thousand total followers on Twitter. So, I see this and it's very impressive. As we all know, IR is growing tremendously in terms of popularity as a field, and the social media statistics really reflect that. And a large part of that is credit goes to our committee for producing great quality and great quantity in terms of content. And now just looking ahead regarding our upcoming projects and our goals for the coming year. Of course, I would love to continue those ongoing projects that I mentioned in the previous slides, especially those ones that have really dug their roots into the ground and managed to be sustainable on their own for a long time, like the Day in the Life of an IR YouTube series. That would be great. As far as social media, we want to think about innovative ways that we can continue to keep that growth going. For example, do you think we should be investing in advertisements on social media, for example? Also, we'll have a Twitter champ and an Instagram champ. Essentially, these are just like one person dedicated to each so that they can really hone in and make sure that the accounts are popping all the time. Another idea that we've discussed a little bit is maybe we should invite some guests over to do like an Instagram takeover for the day and post multiple stories, and we can have somebody new every week, for example. I've seen other accounts do that in various different fields, and with great success. I find that to be pretty engaging. Also, we're looking to expand our presence beyond just the traditional social media and onto other online platforms like Student Doctor Network, Reddit. And I think it's important because, you see a lot of people who may or may not be involved in SIR who are posting about the state of IR and pros and cons of IR. And a lot of that information is just word of mouth, and anybody can say whatever, and there's misinformation and some bickering or whatnot. Long story short, I think we as a committee need to enter that space and provide some accurate and just more detailed answers on some of those topics going on. I think it'd be a great place to sort of spread more education. Furthermore, we're going to continue to support all of our other committees in PR for their events. So just helping them with posts, creating flyers as needed, graphics. I do those all the time. They're super easy once you sort of get the hang of it. And we can, if you join the committee, we can sort of go over how to do that if you need any help. And I think most importantly, my hope for this committee is that we just continue to expand further and further into new projects. Every year, it would be great to see, 3+ new projects come out that continue to stand the test of time. This year, we had, in addition to Day in the Life of IR, we had the IR Practice Types series, which was a live webinar series that also went on YouTube. And we were just exploring, what a different way the different types of practices IRs can be in after their training. Private versus academic, outpatient versus inpatient, solo IR versus multi-specialty collaboration, for example, with vascular surgery or interventional cards. Alternatively, sometimes IR works with urology, etc. There's such a massive variety, and not many people know about that in training, but it is very, very important to know about in terms of your career. And then finally, I think another cool creative pursuit would be to break into the podcast space. A lot of us know there's already a couple of major IR podcasts. Backtable is an amazing podcast. It's not affiliated with SIR at all. There's another podcast that's been in the game for a couple of years. It's called Sound of IR. And that's a student-run podcast. So I think it's worth looking into and seeing if there's any room for collaboration between that established podcast, Sound of IR, and maybe if our committee can get involved and help them really kickstart things and put out episodes more frequently. So that's something I'm sort of dedicated to if anyone else is interested once you join as a member. All right, thanks for listening along. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. I'm not sure how quickly you'll get a response to the committee email address, the PRCC committee email address, but you can always email me, my personal email, or hit me up on Twitter. You can tweet at me, DM me, whatever. I'm happy to reply anytime. And I just want to emphasize that our committee is really an amazing opportunity. We talk with so many different other committee members. We interact with a lot of other attending physicians throughout the Iyer community. It's an awesome networking opportunity. I really do believe we're one of the best, if not the best. Well, I shouldn't say that. We're easily one of the best committees on SIR as far as the work that we do and the opportunities we can afford our members. So I strongly encourage you to apply.
Hi, my name is Brendan Rue, and I'm very excited to be the chair of the goal of the research committee is to train future IR physician scientists. Future of IR articles. Members of the research committee write short summaries. Introduction to Research Online Program, ITROP. Physician and student spotlights. The RFS website feed. With your help, we can reach the following goals. Build projects.
Hello everyone, my name is Rob Seavey and I'm a third-year medical student at Eastern Virginia Medical School. I am the incoming Diversity and Inclusion Chair, taking over for Camille Bahid, who has done a great job at advancing the goals and efforts of our committee. I am excited to talk to you all about the mission, projects, and goals of the D&I committee. Our multifaceted mission is to promote diversity of trainees entering the field of interventional radiology, to provide Iyer outreach initiatives, and contribute to patient advocacy within underserved patient populations, and to collaborate with and support the efforts of the SIR D&I Recruitment Committee and SIR Diversity Task Force. We have several projects aimed at achieving our mission. For the IR Minority Treatment Awareness Outreach Program, we highlight IR interventions as treatment options for disease states that disproportionately affect certain demographic groups, with the goal being to educate the broader IR community of health professionals on these health disparities and encouraging them to address community needs. For our peer-to-peer mentoring mini-sessions, this is aimed at assembling a network of underrepresented minority and LGBTQ+ medical students and residents to help foster career mentorship. We also have projects dedicated to international outreach to increase IR residency application resources for international medical graduates. We host SIR exhibits at annual AMEC and LMSA conferences. We host webinar Intro to IR series for HBCU medical students and students at institutions with greater than 25% underrepresented minority medical student enrollment. And we are currently creating and compiling a list of pre- and post-IR procedure pamphlets in Spanish for Spanish-speaking patients across the country. For our accomplishments in 2021 and 2022, we have completed physician spotlights which were posted on Twitter and Instagram of Dr. Vivienne Bichet and Dr. Mario Dervishi. We have posted our uterine fibroids infographic for Black History Month, along with an infographic highlighting disparities in hepatocellular carcinoma treatment, racial disparities associated with COVID-19, and varicose veins and its increased prevalence in women, as well as available IR treatment options, which will be posted in May for Women's Health Month. For our Spanish translation project, we have completed pre- and post-procedure pamphlets in Spanish for endovenous laser therapy, Y90 radioembolization, genicular nerve ablation, prostate artery embolization, and radiofrequency ablation, to name a few. We have also collaborated with the SNMA, hosting a virtual SIR exhibit at AMEC 2021. For our International Outreach Committee, we completed an Indian IR attending spotlight series as well as an interview with an IMG IR resident that was uploaded to SIR Web. We have also hosted a webinar Intro to IR lecture series that consisted of an Intro to IR lecture as well as a Q&A panel. Our 2022 goals are to increase IR visibility among minority medical associations via our presence at AMEC and LMSA's annual conference in person in 2023, and through greater collaboration with minority medical networks. We want to collaborate on initiatives with other MSC committees such as Women in IR or IRIG. This spring, we plan to collaborate with VIRIG on DO outreach and host a DO and IR panel in the summer of 2022. We want to host another introductory webinar in August for HBCU medical students and medical students at institutions who have greater than 25% underrepresented minority medical student enrollment. We want to produce infographics highlighting the systemic factors that impact disparities and outcomes for underserved populations. And we also plan to present at SIR 2022 on medical student involvement in international IR training. So come join. You will have an amazing opportunity to represent IR at SIR national conferences. You will be able to work with national organizations, international groups, and other SIR committees to further our mission. I can't wait to work with you. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at cbrm@evms.edu if you have any questions, and have a great rest of your day.
And this year we have the pleasure of Talia Fratkin and Damian Slifer as our Medical Student Reserves chairs for the year.
The mission of the Medical Student Reserves is to serve as a companion organization for the SIR Medical Student Council, RFS, and the SIR-PAC. We create short-term projects, work being done by the MSC and RFS committees, anywhere from biodesign and innovation, education, the IRAs, patient family care, PR and communication, research, diversity inclusion, and women in IR. We collaborate with each respective committee to ensure the creation of meaningful work to prevent duplication of efforts already underway by other committees. Lindsay Arndt, the outgoing chair of the reserves, who served from 2020 to 2021, focused on high-quality recruitment and retainment efforts, drastically expanding the roster and the scope of projects. We're currently at an active roster of over 430 members. We completed projects such as the IR Mentorship Match that saw over 110 student mentees and residents connect. We had the IR Curriculum Project in conjunction with the Education Committee. We had reserves working on the IR Practice Models Webinar Summary Series. And we even had reserves participate in Tools of Biodesign outlines for process of device development. Future projects are designed to increase the participation of pre-meds via student outreach, hopefully working with the VIR committee. We're looking at creating a mentorship support network, further expanding on the mentorship match, and increasing the recruitment of surgically minded students. The goal is to build towards a community of future IR leaders interested in growing the uniqueness of IR as a singular specialty, separated from diagnostic radiology focused on minimally invasive surgery.
To join the Medical Student Reserves, you can go onto the RFS website and join. Or you can reach out to SIRMSreserves@gmail.com with any questions or comments regarding the Medical Student Reserves. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Shin Mei. I am a third year, rising fourth year at Yale, and I am this year's chair of the Women in IR Committee. So the mission of this committee is to support women in the field of interventional radiology and increase female student recruitment into the field. We hope to provide networking and mentorship opportunities to female identifying medical students, as well as highlighting the achievements of women in the field currently. And we hope to collaborate with and support the efforts of the RFS and ECS Women in IR committees, who have been very supportive of our mission so far. Our goals in 2022 and 2023 are similar to last year's. We're going to implement current project ideas and develop new projects. We're going to collaborate with the RFS and ECS committees to achieve these goals. We're also going to try to keep increasing our numbers. This includes increasing the number of female identifying medical students in SIR membership and on the MSC, and to also support those applying to residency and building networks with those who have matched. In terms of mentorship, one thing that we do is the Women in IR virtual hangouts in collaboration with the RFS and the ECS. These hangouts have provided networking and mentorship opportunities to students. We hosted 2 of these last year, and they were well received, as you can see here, with a lot of enthusiasm and really good turnout. So we hope to continue those this year. We're also hoping to host CV, personal statement, and mock interview workshops to prepare students to apply an interview for residency, and hopefully we can do these on one-on-one or small group sessions with current attendings, residents, and fellows who can offer pearls of wisdom for us. And in terms of long-term mentorship, we hope that this committee can serve as a touch point for medical students, residents, attendings, and trainees of all levels to come together and elevate women in IR. We're also hosting Women in IR Spotlights, which highlight women in IR through Q&A interviews. And we're also going to plan on highlighting female medical students as well. And these have been shared on the Twitter and on the SIR website. And we're also going to continue to create women's treatment awareness materials. So these included creating infographics, webinars, and other forms of content to identify common disease states that are more prevalent in women and common IR procedures that pertain to women's health. So we would love for you to join us. If you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to reach out. That's my email. And basically, we're looking for students, male or female, who are passionate about increasing female mentorship and representation in the field of IR. Specifically, we're looking for members who are passionate, who are innovative and creative, as this is the second year of the committee. And people who are strong communicators and well organized and are ready to deliver good content and be team players on this community. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who stuck around and listened to this annual business meeting recording. Again, my name is Deepak Iyer. I'm a third year at GW, and I'm excited to be the incoming MSC chair for the next year. Now we'll discuss some helpful tips and timeline for the MSc application process. Applications for the Medical Student Council will open roughly around April 1st, 2022. They will be live until April 21st, 2022, at which point the committees will review their applications and decisions will be finalized on May 1st and sent out to everyone. The MSc is looking for highly motivated thinkers and doers. We want team players who are flexible in making adjustments and great at collaborating with others. We are looking forward to having people who are invested in collectively improving our organization. I highly encourage reviewing this slide in order to make your application as successful as possible. Here we have some anonymized examples of successful applicants. Including things like discrete data points and detailing specific deliverables in a concise manner can go a long way in making your application successful and highlight your contributions to a committee. Shown here are some examples of descriptions of successful project ideas. They include step-by-step breakdown, the resources required, and other examples to help the committee chairs get a better idea of the skills that this applicant will be able to provide to their committee. Thank you all again for tuning in to our annual business meeting. Please visit and bookmark the RFS website at rfs.sirweb.org, where you will find all the resources and content that our committees generate. Additionally, if you utilize any social media platforms, please follow and join us. And again, if you have any other further questions regarding the Medical Student Council, be sure to send me an email at sir.students@gmail.com. Thank you.